So I'm here today in the barn with Laureen Partington, and we are getting together so that we can talk about Laureen's story, which I just think is amazing. I think your journey has been amazing. And we met about a year and a half ago almost now?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think one of your close friends referred you to me.
Absolutely.
And you were interested in fitness, but also you wanted to touch on nutrition.
Nutrition, for sure, was my biggest thing. Talking to my friend who had been a client of yours for a long time, talking about mostly sugar. And because of the fact that I am a recovering alcoholic, I had quit drinking, well, this December will be 5 years, and my new addiction was sugar. And it was so bad that even when I got out of rehab, I had like gumball beside my bed in the middle of the night to, just get in my mouth. Really what finally kind of was the kicker was that I was going back to Edmonton, back home, for my little sister's wedding, and I didn't fit into my dress. So,
So there was a vanity piece for you.
Absolutely,
okay.
For sure.
Right.
I mean, I knew the sugar was bad for me, and especially because I had damaged my liver so badly that, refined sugar is just horrible for your liver. So I knew all of that, but I still just wasn't ready for it.
Okay.
Yet, So yeah, it was definitely the vanity part first.
Okay. It's interesting when you think about things like AA meetings. They're full of hard candies and donuts and treats,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
I'm a big believer that sugar addiction is sugar addiction. It doesn't really matter where it comes from.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, when you and I first got together, I think it's fair to say that you were a skinny fat.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was. I don't think that the size of my clothes hasn't really changed that much.
For sure.
It's just more kind of how I feel, and it's definitely all kind of around here since quitting the sugar, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So when you talk about how you feel, can you just maybe tell us a little bit more about the differences you noticed besides aesthetically?
Well, yeah, aesthetically, sure, but it just goes so much beyond that now, and that really is what my motivation is now. It's just the way I feel, and the fact that, my mind is more clear. I can think straight. I have more energy to do the things that I want to do, Before, I would get tired, being out all day with my kid, and I'd have to have a nap by 3 o'clock,
Right.
And now I am up and I am ready at 6, and let's go, and what are we doing today? And it's still at 9 o'clock at night, I'm still going,
That's great.
Just because of that, it's real energy, and it's not that fake crap that you get from, the high from sugar or from whatever else I got from before, right?
For sure.
It's quite astonishing, actually.
What's interesting is when I first met you, to look at you, you have that spark in your eye, and you are, I think, naturally a high-energy person.
Absolutely.
So that whole kind of crash and burn with sugar that a lot of people experience, I think, was partly attributing to not only energy levels, but mood, digestion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my digestion, is night and day now. And even because I think of my liver disease, that cirrhosis of the liver from drinking, and I think that truly, what I ate affected me so much, and my pants, I could barely wear jeans for years because it just hurt my belly so much. My belly was bloated. It hurt. I would often describe it as somebody stabbing a knife right into my guts after I ate, and it was almost after I ate anything.
Okay.
It didn't matter.
All right. And I think your digestion was irregular too, right?
Oh, irregular and
unpredictable.
Very unpredictable. The thing, it didn't matter what I ate; it went right through me.
Okay. All right. So to a certain extent, you were probably one of those people who could eat whatever you wanted. You could maintain essentially your clothing size, but it didn't really matter because of how you felt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really was. I was tired all the time.
Okay.
And my kid, she said to me even a couple, maybe 6 months into, the nutrition and the fitness and all of that, she's like, "Mom, you're more fun now."
That's cool.
And that's the goal, right?
Yeah, for sure. Now, you are a yoga instructor by trade.
Yes.
And so fitness is not new to you.
No.
But one of the things that you and I were able to connect on in the barn was once we got your nutrition organized, you started to come to cross-train.
Yes.
And that's not necessarily your nature, and we kind of teased about that when we first got together, because you're a yogini.
Yeah.
So can you speak to that a little bit about the difference and what that has maybe meant for you?
Well, yeah, and it's funny too, because I was just thinking about this, and it really does kind of serve the two parts of my personality, right? And that yoga is for like my soul, right? And it's to keep me grounded, and it's to keep me sane, really, you know, and quiet and meditative and peaceful, and I really do like that aspect, and I try and keep that at home a lot. And so to be in the barn with this loud and moving around and, you know, so much.
Lots of people.
And all of that, you know, it's very intimidating. Well, I mean, I thought it was intimidating at first, you know, and you come in and it's just so warm and inviting, and like I said, it really does go, I think, to that high energy part of my personality.
For sure, yeah.
That I can't now imagine my life without it.
So you're yin and you're yang.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I would say in many ways, the yin and the yang of your nutrition as well, right? Because it's about finding balance. It's not like you never have sugar, right?
No.
Or yeah. And I think it's important to maybe share, when we say you're a recovering alcoholic, like you almost died.
Oh yeah, no, I was in the hospital.
Like you're lucky. It's amazing that we're here today.
Well, yeah, you know, and I was in the hospital actually. Like it wasn't when I quit drinking. It wasn't because I chose to. My liver gave out, and I had to be airlifted to Kingston Memorial, and you know, had my heart shocked more than once. I was in intensive care for 3 weeks, and my family was planning my funeral, and I don't know, my husband just said, just one day, it was like, I just decided to get better. And I remember that day, and a nurse, I was trying to take out my tubes. I had an intubation tube, and I was trying to take them out. And I thought, because I had been sneaky for years, and a master manipulator, and I thought that I could get this tube out without anybody noticing, right? I mean, this is how poisoned my brain was, right? And she shook my bed, and she said, "Do you want to die?" And I said, and I took a while to think about it, you know, or what it seemed like for a while. And I said no. And she's like, "Then let us do our job." And it was right then and there that I really decided that I had to change, and that everything that I knew, not was wrong, but was open to interpretation.
Sure.
Right? And so when I came here, I felt like I needed guidance, you know, and I felt like I knew nothing about nutrition. I mean, I thought that I did. I thought that, you know, all of that, but that was a real part of it, was really deciding that I needed to change everything.
Okay.
You know, and that's what I did.
I have a confession. When I first heard about you, I didn't know your name, but when I first heard about you from your friend who referred you, she explained your story kind of in a nutshell, and I was hesitant to take you on because I wasn't sure where you were at from the addict's standpoint.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I like to roll the dice on people, I really do. But I was like, you know, is she sure? Is she just looking for a quick fix? Is it going to be worth my time to get together with her? Is she going to be on the bus?
Yeah.
And I have to say, my experience with you has been that you've been always on the bus from the moment you walked in the studio, and that's just been an absolute pleasure. And so I have a couple more questions for you before we wrap this up. The first one is, I want to know, I have two questions about you personally, but I want to know just in terms of the addict and alcoholism. I met someone recently at a conference who is opening a business treating like mummies who drink. So, yeah, really interesting. So that whole kind of Chardonnay lunch club, she says she thinks it's a huge issue, that she worked in corporate Canada for years and came home every night and drank a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
And she thinks that a lot of people are doing that. Yeah. She knows that from her research, or she wouldn't have opened the business. And so I'm just curious if your situation was to the point where it knocked you out, and it was almost game over. Yeah. But what are your thoughts on the high-functioning alcoholics out there?
It's scary, you know, it really is, because I think, God, and I was just recently talking to someone who almost fits exactly into that description, who is having a really hard time, and you know, talking to me because she knows that I've been there, and you know, wants advice on what to do. And I think it's really dangerous, really, because, you know, people think of alcoholics as, you know, people drinking wine out of a brown bag on the street, you know, like winos or junkies or that kind of thing, you know, and it isn't. It is, you know, suburban housewives who have had a hard day and oh, you know, I'm just going to have and how big's your glass? But
right, self-medicating then,
well,
right?
And that's exactly what it is, I think. And I think that society right now really, I think we're all kind of, not we, not me personally, but I think a lot of people are kind of lubricating themselves with alcohol.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Okay. So my last two questions: biggest change in your body from addressing your nutrition?
Physically or
your physically?
Definitely my stomach, and I mean everything that means, right? So like the way my stomach looks, like this is where I notice it the most. And my digestion is almost perfect.
Okay.
Whatever that means.
Sure.
And I don't, my belly doesn't hurt anymore.
Okay. All right. And your brain?
I'm so much clearer. Like, I feel like I can actually, like, I love to read, right? Like, I love to read. And I felt like before I couldn't calm myself down enough to even read a book. I would read, the same page over and over and over again because it just wasn't getting in there.
I've been there, yeah.
And yeah, I feel like I can read a book.
Okay.
Yeah.
And any final parting thoughts for people considering being curious about their nutrition or their fitness? Whether they come to Custom Fit or not, it doesn't make. This isn't a sales pitch. I'm just curious.
I think that people don't really realize how much nutrition can affect everything in your life. My husband and I were just having a conversation about someone else who was having a hard time, and mentally and physically and all of that. And he's like, "I wish you would just do the nutrition course." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you and I know how much that would change their lives, but they don't know yet." And I think that that's the problem, is that people just don't know how much food can nourish everything in your whole life, not just your body, but your brain, your relationships, your work life, your home life, like everything, just everything.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, everything gets better when your food gets better.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
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 So my suggestion is to just stay curious. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. Keep an open mind.
Yeah.
For sure.
Good. Laureen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Girlfriend.